Hey guys, it's Leo with Family Heritage Living. I just need to put a quick disclaimer out. I did a video last night that I posted and I took down almost as quickly as I put it up because it occurred to me that in this video I encourage people to go and read a blog post that I had written and about abortion, okay? And I also discuss in this video the fact that I am a survivor of abortion, and that in the blog post I give detailed information, but I didn't give enough detailed information in the video, and it occurred to me that that many of our viewers probably would not go read, and then they may be left assuming or guessing that this is a recent thing, and this is not. My abortion was in 1990, many years ago, and the point in this is that the trauma caused by something that is so legal or is legal and so pushed in our country affects your entire life. Abortion shames often the woman into not discussing it, and therefore, especially in the Christian community, I mean, it's easier to talk about being a recovered drug addict or recovered alcoholic, which, by the way, I am a recovered alcoholic. You'll find that in my post too. Learn a lot of things about me you probably didn't know and probably didn't want to know, but God's saving grace is amazing. And when we have a testimony, we have to share it. And I'm at a point in my life where I feel the Lord saying, you know what, we're going to turn this into good. And the only way we can turn things into good is if we move forward. So I am moving forward, and I know that there are a lot of women out there that need to hear that you can survive through this, that the pain can get better. And when we allow God to use it, there are a lot of Christians out there too that are, even though we've all received His amazing grace, we find it hard to forgive ourselves with certain things, and abortion is a big thing. So I want to share my story. All those years back from 1990, and how it affected my life over the years, and how it affected Ron's life over the years, to those that might be dealing with their own effects from an abortion. And so that's the whole point in this. You guys come to our channel, you know that we are more than homesteading, more than anything. We are about family, and we are about God. And but as Christians, as parents, we all have things in our past. And I just am one who believes more and more every day that when God moves you forward, you need to share it, because otherwise you're letting Satan use those dark times as victories. And God deserves the glory, and He wants to give us the victory. So I just wanted to clear that up. Again, it was not a recent thing. It was many, many years ago. So we'll talk soon. God bless. Hi everybody, it's Leo with Family Heritage Living. Just a quick video here. I want to point you folks to a blog post if you're interested in reading it. As Christians, we all have things that are called our testimony. Our life before Christ is our testimony. And the things that happened in that time in our life are things that we talk about in order to glorify God. They are things that give Him honor and glory, because He pulled us from a lifestyle that usually is self-destructive and and always lost. I mean, that's the reality of it. The lifestyle is always lost, whether it's, you see obvious sins in it or not. But our testimony glorifies God. The other thing that I fully believe that our testimony is for is to encourage others, to help others that may be going through the things that we had been through, or that have gone through them and just don't know how to deal with them. Maybe they haven't found, the forgiveness of Christ. And so they're still dealing with that pain, or that guilt. And sometimes even when you're living for Christ, there are things that follow you despite your best efforts. There are things that will creep back up on you despite your best efforts, knowing that God has forgiven. Sometimes forgiving yourself is really super hard. I don't believe that all testimonies are going to be used, because I don't believe that everyone is able to do that. I believe some things are just too painful and need to be kept in the past. But I do believe that if God puts it on somebody's heart, that they definitely need to use that testimony. They need to speak it, and they need to know that it is, you're being led by God to share that testimony. We have this deal that when we put out a devotional video or when we talk to somebody, we don't care if we just talk to one person that listens. That's one soul that needs to be fed or nurtured. And we think back to our own testimony, and we know that there was a couple that there was just one soul they were after. Of course, they wanted more souls. They wanted to win more for Christ, but they had a focus that they were going to, if it was a Bible study, they were going to give that Bible study for that one person. If it was a preaching, they were going to preach for that one person. And I think that's what we all need to understand as Christians, that when we share something or when we reach out with something that we feel impressed can be used for the glory of God, but also used to enrich someone's life, to help them. It doesn't matter how many people it gets to. It just needs to get to that one person. So with that, there are some things in the past that, you can keep secret, nobody ever knows. And with that, we're living in a really depraved time. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. It gets worse. And I've known for a long time that, in front of the YouTube camera, we get to pick and choose what we share with people. All right. We get to pick and choose how much we reveal to you, how well you know us. And there's a safety there. And that's a good thing. I don't believe that, I'm not a person who believes that you tell everybody your entire trouble. First off, I think it's just self-destructive, and it's also not glorifying to God. I do believe that when God prompts you, regardless of what it is, it needs to be shared, no matter how personal or how much you wish it, it wasn't there. Because our testimonies have such power. And what Satan wanted to use to destroy people, God will take and use for good if we let him. And so that's the whole point. That's the point in this video. We live in a really depraved time right now, and we are watching what things happen that I never dreamt would happen. I mean, the prophecies and you see some of it coming, but you can't wrap your mind around it. I mean, there are things going on today that my mind can't grasp. But there are a lot of broken people in this world from the things that go on. And even people living for Christ, that the sins of their past, because they didn't know any better, because they didn't feel they had options, or because they were just full of sin, feel like there's no hope for them and no help for them. And we have a lot of ladies and men who are what we term survivors of abortion. These are the people that go into the abortion clinics to have their baby aborted. These are the people that during a time of turmoil in their life, they're having society tell them that it's okay, this is the best answer. What they aren't given the information on is that, time goes by real fast, and especially when you're young. And the things you do today, you will have to deal with some other time in your life. And we have a lot of folks, both men, and I say men because men are just as much of a pawn in this whole abortion industry as women, but they deal with this stuff, and they do it in private because nobody wants to talk about abortion, especially if you've had one. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to tell anybody, I had an abortion. I mean, it's shameful. It's an emotional turmoil for people. And so they hide it. And then it boils inside of them. And maybe it lies dormant and they don't even know it, but it's going to boil and it's going to come out. And when we have a loss, whether it's our own doing or somebody else's, we have to mourn that loss. And we have not given victims of abortion that right to mourn. We want to keep them silent. We don't want them to tell their stories, because it would be totally contrary to the abortion industry's purpose. And I think it's important that, especially those that have come through it, and maybe they've come through it a little scarred, and maybe they've come through it a little torn, but if they've made it through it, they need to share their stories to encourage those that haven't made it through that battle yet, or for those that are considering abortion that have never thought about, what about a year from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. People that are considering abortions need to know that there are some very proven negative effects from abortion, from destructive relationships, to not being able to conceive because you can't physically carry a baby any longer, or that you emotionally cannot connect with children because of the abortion, that your breast cancer rate is increased, that your rate of needing psychiatric drugs are increased after an abortion, that the rate of suicide for women who have abortions are increased. These are some really negative effects, and they're not the only negative effects to abortion, but they are definitely some big ones, and they're not told nearly as much as the information that is shared to encourage women to get an abortion, especially when women are going through a turbulent time, finding out they're pregnant, they're not prepared, or life is just not where it needs to be. So, at any rate, testimonies are for glorifying God and for sharing with others to encourage them. And the Bible says that there's a time and place for everything. And for me, for myself, I knew at some point in time that I would share this testimony. I just didn't know when God would want it. There's processes through all these types of things. Some things that you're going to share, they're a lot more personal than other things you're going to share. And this is the timing, though. I've been feeling it. Ron's been feeling it. And I don't know if anybody on the other side of this camera, if you're the one that needs to hear it, or if there's somebody further down the road that might play this video and go to that blog post in 5 years or 10 years. All I know is that when we have knowledge and we've had life experiences that can be beneficial for others, that might help them through some dark periods in their lives, we have to share that. So if you're interested in reading my testimony about abortion and how it's affected my life and my marriage, then please go to our blog. I am going to put the link right here. And then you can just go there and you can read my latest blog post about aborted women. And please share and like and get this word out. I think we take for granted that everybody knows that there are negative effects of abortion, but that's not true. I did, but it didn't stop me from having one. Okay, because I was you read the post, you'll know. And see, that's the other thing. It's like, anybody that knows us, we're all about family. We're all about healthy children and stuff. And so it comes to shock to a lot of people that, wow, you had an abortion. But that's the whole point. God saves us. God redeems us from the worst and darkest part of our life. And there are people that are living that worst and darkest part of their life right now. And we need those that can help. Whether it's abuse or abortion or, whatever the case, if we have a testimony, as painful as it may be, if you really feel God urging you, you need to share because somebody out there needs to hear it. So, all right, you guys, a lot of TMI. I really pray that our viewers, now, I know our viewers, but we always, when we talk about something so personal, you think, oh boy, they're going to see us in a different light. And that may be true, but, God is good, and He always has a purpose. So, all right, we'll talk soon. God bless.